this is Dana and welcome to my channel, The Orchid Hut. Thank you for spending some of your time today with me to watch this orchid video. And this one is about flushing and feeding your orchids in the very same day. And in order for this video to make the most sense, I would like to refer you back to a couple of other videos that I've made in the past. And the first one is about smarter orchid watering, and it's geared mainly for beginners who are trying to figure out when their orchids need to be watered and when they need to be fed. And so I'll put a link to that video in the upper right hand corner of the screen if you have not watched that one in the past, because it gives my philosophy on how and when to water and feed orchids. And it's kind of a big picture type of thing. You have to understand the big picture of watering and feeding your orchids before today's video will make sense. And you'll have to take your philosophy on watering and feeding and then try to apply what's in this video to see how it might suit you. And then the next video is about the importance of flushing your orchids, which is absolutely critical. So I did a video on how to flush your orchids and why you need to do that on a regular basis. In that video as well, I describe how the last 2 watering days of each month is reserved for simply flushing orchids. And if a particular orchid doesn't need water, then at least that method guarantees that they are flushed 1 time per month. Now, having said all of that, today's video is a little bit more unique for my growing months of June, July, and August. Those are the 3 prime growing months for my orchids. And at the end of June, July, and August, I also have 2 flushing days reserved at the end of each month to take care of that task. However, it's a bit more complicated in those special growing months, because if an orchid needs watering, and most times during the growing season when I pull all my orchids out of the bay window like you see in front of the camera, they do need water, because it's been typically about 5 to 7 to 9 days and they're all thirsty at that point during the growing season. So when it's time to flush the pots, I flush the pots. I move everything from the bay window over to the other side on the island, and then as I'm putting them back, I also fertilize the orchids that need food. And this time of the year, it's most of them, because they are either in active vegetative growth, active root growth, or in some cases, even with my Phalaenopsis, they're still producing their bloom spikes. So most orchids need food during the growing season. Now, they're all on the other side of the island, so as I'm putting them back, I'm going to be feeding them today. But in June, July, and August, I also do one extra thing, which I think really helps. Okay, so let me backtrack just a little bit. A typical feeding day for an orchid, for me, is very weak CalMag Fertilizer, and maybe once a month I will put a drop of SuperThrive in the gallons of water that I mix up. Okay? Now, SuperThrive is just simply, sort of like a seaweed amending type solution that helps your orchids thrive, but you don't want to overdo it on SuperThrive either. So it's really just like 1 drop in a gallon of water once a month. In June, July, and August, what I do on the flushing days is I mix up a bottle and a spray bottle. And so this is the spray bottle that I use, and it's about 1/4 of a gallon. And in this spray bottle, I will put 3 drops of a product called HB101. And this is a Japanese product, so I don't know if it's available in all areas, but it's 100% plant extracts derived from Japanese cedar, cypress, pine, and plantain grass. A lot of bonsai growers use this formulation for their bonsais. So I mix up 3 drops in this 1/4 gallon sprayer, and for Phalaenopsis orchids, I very lightly mist the leaves because it can be used as a foliage spray, and I lightly mist the aerial roots as well. Now for orchids that don't have aerial roots, I will take a little tiny bit of this solution and just top dress the very top of the pot after the plant is well watered and after the plant has been fertilized. And what HB101 does is it just helps the plants uptake the nutrients from the fertilizer. Okay, so I've had a lot of questions in the past about, how do you water, how do you feed, what do you do different times of the year. So this is sort of my June, July, and August regimen. And I will be putting links below this video to all of the products that I mentioned in case you would like to go to Amazon and purchase those. And thank you in advance for using one of those links. I may get a small commission for your purchase. And if you enjoyed this video or learned something new, please give it a thumbs up. The subscribe button will be coming up in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Thanks so much for watching, and talk to you next time.